In the heart of Saudi Arabia's industrial revolution, a new era is emerging, one where intelligence meets ambition. Through cutting-edge AI tools, we are transforming operations, boosting efficiency, driving innovation, and redefining what's possible. Our cities are evolving into smart hubs, integrating automation, connectivity, and sustainability to shape the future of industry and urban living. Innovation drives our vision, empowering industries to grow smarter, faster, and more sustainable through AI-enabled solutions. With great power comes great responsibility. We are committed to addressing the social and ethical dimensions of AI, ensuring a future that serves humanity. At RCJY, we're not just shaping industrial cities, we're building smart hubs that redefine what's possible for the future of industry, communities, and the planet. The Royal Commission for Jubail and Yambo, Timeless Evolution.
A warm welcome, Assalamu alaikum, to all from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and also from the Royal Commission for Jubail and Yambo. Our session today is first in the series of 3 sessions that the RCJY has put up for our esteemed audience. The first session today is going to cover, it's entitled Metamorphosis or the Transformation of Industrial Cities into Smart, Sustainable Cities. And the following sessions, tomorrow and the day after, will cover more the sustainability metrics part, as well as a very comprehensive management model that has allowed us to essentially be a timeless evolution along our timeless journey. And so today's session, the transformation into industrial cities and into smart hubs, why is this important? It's important because if we look at a statistic that I recently came across, 238 top cities, smart cities in the world, according to the IZ, IMD, and Eden Top 10 Smart City Index, 20% of those cities are industrial cities now. And essentially what this means, and it's going to continue to grow, what this means is industrial cities are actually giving other cities a bang for their buck. They're like really creating communities. They're not just industrial anymore. They're competitive cities, which also provide great quality of life to the residents. And I saw that personally firsthand at the Jubail city last week with our visit there. And we intend to cover quite a few of these examples from Jubail, Yambo, and other sister cities within the Commission. Today's session, we're going to talk about 3 things. First thing we're going to talk about is the opportunities and challenges that cities have faced in transforming to a smart city model from industrial cities. Number 2, we're also going to talk about the role that technology plays in doing this. And third, we're going to look at innovation and sustainability. And we'll end with a case study of an emerging city within the Royal Commission's family, Jazan, where I'm the advisor there at the present, and we're going to bring out some of the key initiatives that we're undertaking to transform along the lines of Jubail and Yambo. So with that said, introductions first to our esteemed panel. Myself, I'm Farooq Azam. I'll be moderating the session. I'm a smart city principal with Parsons, currently an advisor with Royal Commission, and I bring decades of experience from 4 continents, working mostly in the digital ICT world with Bell Labs, Nokia, Ericsson, and we're trying to hopefully bring a lot of these learnings from not just last 10 years I've been dedicated to smart cities, so we'll try and bring a lot of this experience from mixed-use cities, legacy cities, as well as industrial cities to the forefront today. I have with the esteemed panel here, starting with Dhafar Al-Amri, General Manager of Mega Projects in Real Estate at Mobily. Dhafar has a distinguished career spanning over 22 years in the realms of business modeling, project governance, business development, customer experience, and strategic planning. His extensive experience encompasses a diverse array of industries, including investment, banking, telecoms, and the sector of smart cities as well. He's an expert in managing large-scale projects and developing smart city approaches by using technology and innovative strategies. Welcome, Dhafar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Venugopal Pai, visiting us all the way from California at Nutanix, VP of Global Accounts there. Pi has been a long-standing partner of RCJY with Nutanix and has been part of the Nutanix journey for over a decade. In his role, he works closely with some of the world's largest government organizations and partners as they evolve their business to drive innovation and sustainable growth. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And last but not least, Dr. Basma, Managing Director for Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Saudi Arabia, which is an affiliate with the WEF. For over 25 years, Dr. Basma has created, led, and advised innovative initiatives in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia across domains including clinical operations, health technology adoption, business transformation, education, investment, and innovation. She is an accomplished leader with a distinguished record of spanning strategy, development, and especially in leading and managing private-public partnerships. In her current role at a WEF affiliate center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution Center in Saudi, she supports the Kingdom's Vision 2030 by being a platform for public-private multi-stakeholder collaboration, maximizing the technological benefits to society while minimizing risks associated with fourth-generation industrial revolution technologies. If I got that right. Alrighty. So without further ado, we'll get right into our question and answer. As I mentioned, that we do have a Q&A session towards the end. There will be a QR code that will be displayed just when we started. Please, register your questions. There's one now too, if you would like to take a snapshot, and then just register your question, and we'll try and address it towards the end of the session. So with that said, the first thing we wanted to talk about was opportunities and challenges in transformation for the industrial cities in becoming smart, sustainable hubs. So when we talk about opportunities and challenges, just from past experience, obviously the focus tends to be on technology. But we know that there's more than technology. You have to think about governance, stakeholder management. You have to think about funding, private partnerships. You have to think about also technologies there, but also policies and processes and standards. The Kingdom has a lot of standards, and that we need to ensure that we align with. So if we can start there, and a question to Dhafar first, as a ICT digital solution provider in the Kingdom, Wiley. How do you contribute to this journey, and how do you help cities transform?
Well, thank you, Farouk, for the introduction, and thank you, RCGY, for the invitation. We are very pleased to be here today. To answer that question, let's go back a little and understand what is the smart city. Smart city is a multi-layer approach where every layer is interconnected with the other one, and ultimately controlled by a unified control center to get the most out of the solutions that is being implemented. It's no news that telecommunication and service providers today are focusing only on the connectivity infrastructure whatsoever. Today, every company, and especially mobile, is looking after the full smart city value chain. We, in addition to the infrastructure and the 5G networks, when it comes to the robust 5G or even the reliable fiber infrastructure, we provide a full suite of ICT information and services, in addition to digital services. And not only that, we go even up to the level of utilizing the partners' capabilities and solutions that we can provide as a full smart city solution. Moreover, we provide a business model that governs the whole relationship in the most beneficial way to benefit the owner, the provider, and all the partners that is involved in the value chain. One good example that we can mention here is the smart meter project. This is a very national project, very crucial one that is contributing to the 2030 vision, and monitored by the Ministry of Energy, owned by our partner, the Saudi Electricity Company. We successfully managed, along with our partners, to integrate around 10 million smart meters across the kingdom. This is a very good example in how technology is being merged with the infrastructure, the machine-to-machine technologies, and definitely the hidden systems where the billing, the accuracy of readings, and all the others are integrated. Solutions always, what we have mentioned is that a big part of the smart city structure is based in technology and based in services and solutions that can be integrated together. And the most beneficial, I would say, model is to have it all in one, controlled by a unified control center, and definitely apply the IoT applications in the AI, metaverse, or even up to the digital twin solutions to give a precise decision-making support.
So just to pick on that, obviously technology is a key enabler, and there's a lot of global best practices that we have learned from and also brought to the kingdom. In addition to that, if I can maybe bring Dr. Basma in. Dr. Basma, other than technology, as well as technology, what other global best practices that you think we could leverage, especially with the current Vision 2030?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank RCGY for hosting this panel and for inviting me to be a part of this. I'm very privileged and honored to be here. So before I answer your question, Farouk, I'd like to first state that Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 places at its core technology-driven transformation, which is very important. And the reason for this is that the kingdom has recognized that the application of digital technologies but is actually very vital for urban and economic transformation. So by leveraging data and digital applications and fostering collaboration amongst government, industry, and academia, Saudi Arabia can actually transform its industrial cities into smart innovation hubs. Now, traditionally or historically, we know that industrial parks and companies have been situated in suburban areas. Yes. And because of that, their integration into the broader urban environment has been very limiting to various degrees. However, with digitalization, there are new opportunities that are now afforded because industrial activities can actually be embedded within these smart and interconnected urban environments. So if we take, for example, emerging technologies such as industrial Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and data analytics, they can do a number of things, such as optimizing performance, so optimal performance. They can also enable predictive analytics, and they can also ensure resource efficiency. And so in this, and this can be done in industrial cities like Jubail and Yumba. And so these technologies then create a seamless connectivity because everything needs to be interconnected. So it's not about having these emerging technologies in isolation, but you need to have that connectivity, which is important because when you do have that, you'll have smarter decision making. You'll be able to do more with the data that's generated because of the insights that are generated, so on and so forth. And so thereby, we would transform these industrial cities into areas of collaboration and innovation. Now, if we look at the global population right now, as per the United Nations, global population is somewhere around 8 billion or so. About 55% of the global population lives in urbanized areas. Now, the United Nations has reported that by the year 2050, the global population will be somewhere between 9.6, 9.7 billion, and about 68% will be living in urbanized areas. So what does this mean? So this means that as cities become more urbanized, we have more people moving into cities, there's going to be competition for three key things. These three things include talent, investment, and cultural prominence. When you have these three key factors together, you're essentially creating and cultivating an ecosystem, right, which is important to when we're thinking about transforming our industrial cities into smart innovation hubs. And if we take the kingdom as an example, the kingdom has been doing a lot of wonderful things in terms of digital transformation and ecosystem development. So NEOM, as an example, world-class infrastructure, cutting-edge technologies. There's government support for attracting global talent, which is also creating a lot of economic opportunities. And that's just one example. So overall, I think the kingdom is poised to redefine how industrial cities look like.
Right.
And the kingdom will be setting a global benchmark moving forward.
Excellent. I'd like to pick up on your technology point and just bring in Pi to talk about the stack in general, whether it's networking, the cloud, the data center, the intelligent operations center that Zafar mentioned as well. And I think, given your infrastructure background and your corporation, could you talk a little bit more about that in general, but specifically also about data center, public cloud? In the kingdom, we've made a decision to not physically deploy any new data centers.
Yes.
And so leverage and monetize the existing ones. And this is the strategy we're using in Jazan also, is to either use the Jubail data center or the port data center that we have, but not invest in any new physical infrastructure, and rather use private cloud or even commercial cloud, because the government is in discussions right now with Google and Microsoft.
Yes.
So if I could bring you in to add... shine some light on that.
No, thank you, Farouk, and thank you, RCJY, for the opportunity. Look, I think a lot of the topics that Zafar and was discussed here, it creates a sense that, having visited the kingdom, for the last couple of years, I came here 10 years ago, and the change is very, very dramatic. And the partnership between government and the organizations and the private sector is great to see how the vision that is being shared is becoming reality. And technology is a core component of it. But if you look at technology, every company, every industry is a technology company. It's a matter of which industry you're in, which company you're in. And so how technology is used becomes very, very strategic. Now, technology can be used in very productive ways, but also can be misused. And so it's very important that we balance out the value that is created through technology and the trust that is emboldened with using that data that is being created to make sure that the citizens that are benefiting from this are taken fully advantage of. So the data is fully taken. So for us, when we look at the smart city hubs, when we look at innovation hubs, what we want to do is, how does all these data come together in a single smart hub format, so that whether it's data created in an IoT hub, whether it's created through AI, whether it's created through any type of smart city or connected systems, now this data becomes fodder for AI to now create more value. And so it's very important for us to look at data beyond just AI, beyond just security, beyond automation. It's like, what does this data mean to the business? What does this data mean to RCJY? And how can it create value with trust? So that when a citizen gets that information as quickly as possible, then that data is trusted, and the data creates more and more values. For us, AI creates more data, but data is tied to security and automation.
Good. Excellent. And so just on that note, bringing in Dr. Brasma again, on the use of technologies that are, in particular to urban planning, what emerging trends are you seeing in your role in the fourth revolution? I mean, you mentioned AI, IoT already, and the need for innovation ecosystem. We'll actually get to the innovation ecosystem in a second as well. But is there any other remarks you wanted to make on technology in general? Vis-a-vis creating incubators within the kingdom. And also there's initiatives like Sadaya, for example, Saudi Data and AI Authority that are trying to do things around a smart city platform that could be used across the kingdom. Because one of the things we don't want to do is there's a lot of smart city projects across the kingdom, and we're not seeing enough synergies across them. But we can, and there's a lot of room for us to, which is why we made the visit to Jubail, because there's potential to reuse solutions. And as you mentioned earlier about the virtual platform, because we could essentially host our data in Jazan somewhere in Jubail or Yambo. We don't have to build a data center as long as we have good connectivity. And so if you can maybe add a little bit more on that before we get into innovation with the...
Sure. So I think the first thing to point out is the importance of having a human-centric design. Because at the end of the day, we're developing all of this for people, right? So human centricity is key. The other thing is we need to have technological integration, right? We can't have these systems or emerging technologies operating in isolation of one another. They need to communicate, and we've addressed that point. And when we do that, we would be building cities, smart cities that are safer, smarter, more sustainable, and also resilient. And now there are three key trends that I'd like to point out. The first one is in relation to integration of advanced technologies. And we mentioned things like IoT, AI, and 5G connectivity. And we know that all of these are not only enhancing data connectivity, but also data analysis. And thereby, we would have more efficient urban management and enhanced economic opportunities. And one example to point out here is in Singapore, Singapore's Smart Nation initiative, where they leverage IoT sensors. And with that, they've been able to reduce congestion, also improve public services delivery, and also enhance mobility, so using IoT and 5G. So first key trend is the integration of these technologies. The second one is sustainable urban development. There's been a growing emphasis on the importance of regenerative design and making sure that we restore the environment in connection with human beings as much as possible. And so what does this mean and what does this involve? This involves green spaces. It also involves having more urban nature, connections, and also utilizing local material. And when we have these urban nature connections, we're also addressing climate change, right, and sustainability at the same time. And so one example I'd like to point out is Wadi Hanifa. Wadi Hanifa is a historic landmark that is situated in the Nejd Plateau. It stretches across 120 kilometers, stretching from the northwest to the southeast, and it cuts through Riyadh City. And Wadi Hanifa underwent rehabilitation using a biophilic design that included infrastructure development and afforestation techniques as well. Now, the third key trend is having the city be a digital innovation ecosystem. And to do that, we need to make sure that talent is really at the center of our strategy. So how do we attract global talent? Because when we're attracting global talent, we're also encouraging creativity and we're fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. And one example here is Barcelona. And Barcelona has been described as a ground laboratory for its creative talent, its resident communities, and its knowledge centers. Finally, what is most important, and my colleague referred to this earlier, is making sure that we have the right governance frameworks in place, the right regulatory frameworks and policies in place, and that we also establish enabling frameworks, because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that emerging technologies benefit society and that they do no harm.
Excellent. Okay, and I just want a final word on technology before we discuss innovation a little bit more. And just bringing Dhafar back in to talk about any particular global best practices that you think are relevant for industrial smart cities. And if you want to also mention something about how we measure success once you deploy these technologies.
Well, if we want to talk about the best practices, I think there are two parts here. The first part is related to the strategies and urban planning, where we have already in the kingdom a very good example and best practice, which is RCGY. The urban planning and strategies that's been developed and implemented in RCGY is very intelligent and makes the cities smart ready. We are very proud that we are partnered with the RCGY, especially in Yambo Industrial City, where we have built a smart city-enabled infrastructure that is managing the full telecom and ICT network, in addition to making it ready for any integration to the smart city solutions. And this is only the first part. The second part will come in the future, where it will be fully integrated into one platform. The second part of the best practices is related to the services, which Dr. Basma came across in a minute. We can mention here one good practice that's been implemented in Chevron refineries in the US, where they use AIs on top of multiple smart solutions to detect the methane gas leak and take the decisions, the required decisions to avoid the risk. They do have also some sort of air monitoring and environmental assessment for the soil, for the water, and it's all based on AI applications on top of the smart solutions. I think the best part here is that we have to set up the objective of that industrial hub or city. Once we set the objective, then the solution can easily make the objectives happen in a very smart way. Use the big data that has been transferred along the different systems within the city for a better decision-making support and processes.
So this is a good point that you mentioned, because I think when you talk about actual solutions that are deployed, some that Dr. Basma mentioned on predictive maintenance, and also you spoke about smart metering, the key thing is you're not just deploying technology for the sake of technology, right? We want to see some end results. They have to tie back into some strategic KPIs of meeting sustainability goals, economic growth, or if it's to do with quality of life. So for example, if quality of life means we need to reduce carbon emissions because it will provide for a better air quality and address that quality of living, then we have to have KPIs at that level, and not just that, but be able to measure. Like one of the measures we saw at Yumbo, for example, after we deployed the traffic management system, is that violations went down by about 60% in Yumbo. And similarly, when you look at Singapore, 25% congestion reduction through predictive data analytics. And there are other examples like that. Crime rate in Detroit down by 50%, right? So AI is definitely, but the key thing is that we need to have something in terms of a KPI and framework and tools to measure that, and then feedback to the executive management or senior management as well as the operations team, so that we can constantly have that operations loop. And this is also something that we're working on in Jazan, is to create an IOC where we can have that feedback. So going to trying to tie up on innovation. One question I have on innovation is, how do we increase inclusivity with tech innovations, ensuring that these developments deliver tangible results to people from all walks of life, all social strata, right? So, Pai, if I could bring you in for that.
No, thank you, Farouk. Look, if you look at the citizens we serve, right? They go from all walks of life. It could be teenagers all the way to senior citizens. And technology is sometimes embraced by the younger generation and sometimes misunderstood. And so when we look at technology and inclusivity, we need to make sure that as technology is not just for technology's sake. It's like, how do you make sure that the people that are uncomfortable with technology are made comfortable? And maybe it's setting up centers of excellence for people to get comfortable with the technology, right? There may be areas where certain new technologies are introduced earlier and experimented on. And so there's so many ways that we can be inclusive, because the fundamental goal is to increase the quality of life for all the citizens, right, young and old. And technology plays a very key part in that, but at the same time, how do we make sure that all the data is now embraced and projected out to the citizens in a way that they can consume it the way they like to consume it? And that's very important as industrial hubs become smart cities to innovation hubs, and new technologies get introduced. Today it's AI, tomorrow it could be AI agents, day after tomorrow it could be something else. So how do you make sure that you have a long-term interconnected system architecture that as these new technologies come in, they're experimented on, shared with the community, and their value creation is done in a cohesive manner, rather than IT people understand technology, we love technology, but for the general purpose, technology is sometimes unknown. And that's something that we need to think through about how do we embrace that as a common citizen to have them look at technology, not just as technology, but as something they can use every day.
Yeah. And engage citizens. Some cities also engage citizens in the co-creation process, like
Correct.
recommending what solutions and services they would like to see.
Correct. And then educate them on what these new technologies, because sometimes technology can be scary. It's like, well, what's new is coming? And you've seen many examples on the internet about how AI can be misused. And so that creates a sense of am I doing the right thing? Is the government doing the right thing? And so creating that sense of comfort, sense of trust that we're doing the right thing comes with communication, creating these innovation hubs, and sharing that with the overall citizens.
And that goes back to what Dr. Basma was saying about creating an ecosystem and innovation where you also include stakeholders, not just from government, academia, and industry, but also from communities.
So can I just add to your point?
Yes.
So I think it's important to focus on awareness for all segments of society, not just a specific segment of society. So, and I'll share with you an example. One of the projects we're doing right now at the center focuses on quantum. It's a quantum economy project. And quantum, is still something that not many people are maybe aware of or very comfortable with, and there might be some hypes and myths around quantum, just like when AI, first started coming on board. And so one of our roles at C4IR is creating this awareness. How do we create awareness, not just for policymakers, and that level of awareness is different than if we're creating awareness to scientists and researchers, right, and academicians, to industry as well, but also to the public. So awareness, when in terms of what we're talking about here today, I think needs to span the entire spectrum. And the way that the messages that we would deliver for the public versus policymakers versus industry are going to be different. But at the end of the day, when we're talking about developing smart innovation hubs, and we're talking about people, citizens, they really need to be part and parcel of this. So when we are also co-creating policy solutions at the center, we're doing this with our multi-stakeholders. So we've developed, we develop communities, individual communities for the different emerging tech areas that we're talking about. And so when you develop these communities and they're multi-stakeholder, because you've got diverse stakeholders, you're also getting buy-in and ownership, and they're involved in the process because they are really involved in the process with you. But I think to take it a step further, when talking about smart cities and smart innovation hubs, I think it's important to bring in citizens, as part of the conversation.
Absolutely. Okay, I think we have, maybe we should move to the presentation. We have a case study to cover. I think we covered quite a bit on opportunities and challenges and transformation. We looked at the role of technology in helping us with this transformation. We also looked at how we measure success for these technology deployments or initiatives. And we touched a little bit about innovation. I'd like to come back to that in terms of a little later, maybe after the case study, about how do we engage partners, industry partners, especially vis-a-vis funding initiatives, as we, because quite often we look at these as government projects that we're just going to fund ourselves. However, cities, and we also have to look at how we recoup revenue by creating revenue, recoup ROI on our investments. And there's ways to do that, especially when you become, you do data transformation, ways to share data, and also charge services from a community. Some services, of course, are table stakes, but others we can charge for, and have a line of revenue that can keep sustaining these initiatives. So before we go there, we're doing okay on time. We'll just like to say a couple of things on Jazan. Jazan is one of the emerging cities within the Royal Commission's family. So Jubail and Yambo, the commission's been running for over 50 years, doing a lot of good work in managing and operating these cities. And they've been choosing regions that are, as Dr. Basma was earlier also mentioning to me, for their uniqueness in regional uniqueness. So for example, for Jazan, it's known for agriculture. If we can move to, I have to do this. All right. So just to show, give people context, because this is the first session, on the first day, so people may not know where all these cities are. But in the kingdom, we have Jazan is kind of in the southwest, and Jubail, the older city, is in the northeast, and then Yambo on the west side, and Ras Al Khair is also a new and upcoming city. All of these cities have something unique about them, and then of course something that's very common in terms of the operating model. Please come to the sessions tomorrow and the day after as well, and you'll get to hear firsthand from from the executive team, Their Excellency, and also from others. In terms of Jazan, so where Jazan is essentially, it's it presents a lot of unique characteristics. It has, it's on a global maritime route. It's part of the Belt and Road Initiative. It has, as I mentioned, the region is rich in agriculture, and so one of the sectors we want to grow as an ecosystem is food processing. We believe that there are synergies to be had in common ecosystem development. There is a petrochemical focus there as well. However, we would like to focus on other heavy industries, and in terms of it has a port presence. The key thing is that how we're learning from how we're learning from the other cities, Yambo and Jubail, and what is the operating model that we're hoping to implement. The vision of the city is much like other cities within the family as well as others, which is we want to deliver economic diversification for the kingdom aligned with Vision 2030. We want to deliver higher quality of life for the citizens. And this is very important because quite often people have this perception of an industrial city as just being a factory setup. But if you invite people to visit Jubail, and I think by far it was the greenest area that I've seen, and one of the greenest areas I've seen in Saudi, with a lot of the corniche, and I was very impressed. And also, so community is very important. And Dr. Basma, you made an interesting point earlier about sometimes the cities being too far away from an existing urban area. And that definitely plays, and it's one of the key challenges we're trying to address, because Jazan is 60, 70 kilometers north of an actual city. But we have a precedent in the form of Jubail. We are hopeful that we can create a community like this in the future. So how are we doing that? We have some infrastructure, in the form of data center, telecom infrastructure. We also have some running solutions in the form of CCTV surveillance, and some environmental monitoring, and also some access control, traffic monitoring, and so traffic monitoring is missing, but it's something that we're hoping to develop. These are some of the solutions that we're looking at, but more important than solutions is the operating model. So one of the things we're looking at is the organizational setup, the governance model. We're looking at what standards, policies should we follow. We shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. We want to move forward faster, so we want to reduce our deployment time and deployment cost. How we're doing that is by going to other sister cities and looking at what they've already done, and basically taking what they've done and replicating it with what we have here and what we have in Jazan. Because essentially, at a bare minimum level, most cities have the same requirements. You all need the same infrastructure. We still all need to manage traffic. We need to manage the air quality. So some of the use cases are the same, except for a few. And then we hope to get to the level that you're talking about, where we have an intelligent ops center connected with other cities as well, and potentially even with other government authorities. Ministry of Interior and so on. We hope to have an open data exchange where we can share data, not just between ourselves, but also with businesses. A business that's, for example, wanting to, as I was saying, design solar panels for the buildings in the area, they might want to benefit from the information we give them from drone surveys that we can share as an open data set with them, for example. Anyways, so that's kind of where we're at. We welcome collaboration. We're going to have a session afterwards about that as well. And, thank you very much. This is essentially what Jazan is about. Now we have some time to go to Q&A. But before we go there, I wanted to just ask one question on if you had any parting conclusive thoughts on creating that innovation ecosystem. How best can this essentially triple helix model work between the, if there's any parting thoughts on that, and then we'll go to the audience for some Q&A. So I will start with Dr. Basma, our innovation expert.
So I've said this before, and I apologize if I sound like a broken record, but collaboration across multi-stakeholders, I think that is fundamental. So bringing together academia, research organizations, industry, and government. And C4IR Saudi Arabia, and I'm not marketing for C4IR Saudi Arabia, please don't misunderstand me, but we are a neutral platform where we bring all of these stakeholders together on specific problems that we're trying to support on and facilitate that different government entities are looking to find solutions on, because we do bring best practices being part of the, being an affiliate center for the World Economic Forum. So that's what I would, I think would like to leave the audience with, is this multi-stakeholder collaboration that's important. But on top of that, bringing in citizens to the table as well.
Excellent. And Parv?
Thank you, Farouk. Look, for us, the amount of data that's being created from all the smart city hubs and the innovation hubs is massive. And as you look at where data is being created, to where it's being processed and where it's being stored, if you connect all those three things, we are seeing silos being created, and those silos create complexity and increases cost. So where we come from at Nutanix is really how do you break down these silos, so now all the data, wherever it is collected and wherever it is stored, has the ability to be consumed, to be managed in such a way that now you can create value. Because again, if you look at artificial intelligence, AI needs data. The more data you give it, the more information you get, and the more smarter answers you get. And so for us, we provide a single platform to say, okay, no matter where the data is, how do you make sure that all of it consolidated in one place, consumed it either as structured data in a database or unstructured data coming from an IoT device. All of it can be put in one place, and now you can create value. Be it for a citizen, for an IT organization, or for an organization like a government entity. So these are the things that we grapple with to solve for our customers. And RCJ has been bringing customers for many, many years. Yep. And we break those silos in between the two cities today, and we create one single platform. And that's the way that we think innovation drives value for both citizens and for RCJY.
Thank you. So, question offered to you, kind of related, but with a little bit of a twist. Before I ask you that question, for the audience, please, if you can scan the code, if you have a question, and your question will make it to the folks in the back, and then we'll answer them after the question to Dhafar. So, Dhafar, innovation, technological innovation, but I want to add the twist of sustainability. How do we balance the two together?
Well, there is a big ambiguity here, because whenever we talk about technology, people think that it is against sustainability and against environmental even aspects. But today, let's take the first part of the equation, which is the equipment itself, where all of the manufacturers over the world are trying to make it environmental friendly. Like the controlling the CO2 emission, or even using the green energy when it comes to the feeds. The second part of the equation is the smart services that can be applied to support sustainability, energy management, and even environmental aspects. So it is a main part of achieving the objectives, whether it is in the sustainability or even in the environmental part.
All right, well, thank you. We'll now take questions from the audience. If there are any, let's see. All right, excellent. We have a few questions. Before I ask the questions, just a show of hands, who's here, from the government? Who's here? Show of hands if you're from the government or the... Okay, excellent. All right, who's here from an industry vendor? All right, excellent. So we've got coverage from the government and academia. Anybody from universities? Okay, Dr. Ibrahim. All right, excellent. Okay, so we have a good blend of audience here. So we have some questions. The first question we have is, what is the future of autonomous logistics transportation, and how is it going to improve industrial cities' efficiency? Perhaps Dhafar, you want to take a stab at that?
Well, all services that is based on the M2M technologies, which is again linked to the IoT platforms, are going to have a great impact on the future of industrial hubs. So, is it having like the a role in the implementation of the hubs by itself? I think in the future it will be a main part, and definitely after sizing the right, I would say, needs of that huge and massive data that is being transferred, those services can have a great, I would say, enablement for better productivity and even operational cost.
Anybody else on autonomous transportation?
Not really. I think his answer was pretty sound.
Yeah, I mean, autonomous, I mean, we're seeing a lot of autonomous. I think usually the traffic authorities, there's been some successes, like there's an autonomous pod in Al Ula, from what I know, and different regional traffic authorities are also testing but I think we're still some ways to go with the CV2X and so on. Like, you know, we're going to be, I think there's some human behavioral problems to address before we get there. Dr. Basma, there's a question for you. With your deep background in healthcare development, how can smart cities leverage technology and data-driven systems to create accessible, inclusive healthcare solutions, particularly for the underserved populations?
So how can, sorry, say that again, how can smart city?
So how I believe the underserved population, let's say in the rural areas, people don't have access to the same healthcare that you have in the urban areas. What they're asking is how.
So telehealth. Telehealth is I think is a right example, a key example. For those who live in underserved or remote areas, telehealth can provide faster diagnosis, more efficient diagnosis, better prognosis, better treatment outcomes, etc. And in Saudi Arabia, I think many of you know, we have Saha Virtual Hospital that was launched by the Ministry of Health several years ago, where it provides not just basic services, but also specialty services across the kingdom. And that's helped in terms of better health outcomes. But in addition, when you do provide telehealth services and teleconsultation, you're also contributing to other metrics like enhanced productivity, right, and lack of absenteeism from work, and you're also reducing cost on the healthcare system as well. So there are other sort of spillover effects and benefits that come across.
Absolutely, and then I guess there's other solutions like remote patient monitoring, right? Even
yes, exactly. Yeah, and wearables as well, and connecting them to other gadgets as well. So you have that seamless, continuous also integration.
Right, and bringing it back to that integration point, because I mean now we're also talking about different authorities having integration with each other. So, for example, if there's a ambulance. There's a remote patient that's being monitored, and there's an automatic alert if something goes up and down, and then there's coordination with ambulance, but also there's the traffic authority, the green waves through the traffic lights. There's a lot of cross-agency coordination that can only be achieved if you mature to the next level of data orchestration and service orchestration. So I think that's an important. I think in conclusion. What if you could 30-second takeaway for the audience? What's the call to action? What should they do after, what could they do? We obviously want to collaborate with them, with the investors, with the other partners. From your perspectives, what would you guys leave them with?
I'll have you lead on this.
No, I'll go last.
Right. So
anybody, sorry.
No, so I'll take the first stab at it. At the end of the day, it's about serving the citizens. At the end of the day, it's making sure that the value that they get is delivered over time, right? It's a long-term journey, and innovation, technology will come often. So the number one thing is, how do you break down IT silos? How do you break down the data silos? How do you make sure that all the data is now consistently integrated as more and more systems get interconnected, that value creation is automatic? Right? It's not manual, it's automatic. These are the things that I think takes a lot of design work, a lot of innovation into making sure that it's done right, but adaptable. Because again, things change.
Excellent. Laffer?
Well, I think one important aspect here is that because every city wants to be smart, and everyone wants to implement as smart services as possible. But it goes back again to what we have said earlier, the objective they want to achieve. Once the objective is set, then the services can be quantified to support that initiative, and definitely to size the needs when it comes to interconnectivity and the, I would say, unified control center. How big is it? Is it going to the level of human interaction or not? A lot of activities that is based on the objective of that city, and from that aspect we can size the need of the smart city.
Thank you. Dr. Basma?
So I'm very optimistic, I think, about the future of, not I think, I am very optimistic about the future of turning industrial cities into smart innovation hubs. And the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has taken, has made advancements and strides in moving in the right direction and right trajectory. And I think what's important is to continue on that and to also have patience, because this does take time. It's not something that can be,
absolutely.
done overnight. So patience is a virtue. And I think, being patient, being collaborative, and persevering will enable us and will allow us to get to where we want to get to and become a global benchmark for the world.
Absolutely. No, and I think just to end on that note, also executive sponsorship from all the experience I've had with transforming cities, digital transformation, without executive sponsorship, and we're very happy to have our executives here, and funding, executive sponsorship and funding, because quite often you just look at it as another IT project, but these things can cost tens of hundreds of millions of dollars over several years. But the silver lining in the cloud is that there is ways to also recoup money enabled through these technologies. You can also have revenue. Smart learning through collaboration.
Can I also add one thing?
Yes.
It's talent development as well. So, and how do we enhance human capability development? We upskill and we reskill, and not only focus on the core skills, but also focus on other skills that are going to be needed as we move into the intelligent age, such as empathy, critical skill thinking, problem solving, etc. Because there are some roles that machines won't be able to do, and they won't displace human beings. So let's not lose sight of that as well.
Yeah, we'll keep them a little dumb so we can keep our jobs. So just to conclude, I think in closing, what I wanted to say was we came here to start with this session and the other sessions as well. We wanted to bring to you guys, the world, insights from our deployments in RCJY, Royal Commission for Jubail and Yambo. We've had a long journey. We've fixed many problems along the way. We've created many opportunities. So one thing was to share with the audience our insights. But the second thing is, more importantly, to look for opportunities for collaboration and partnerships and investments and so on. All these cities are bustling cities. We look forward to conversations, whether you're in any heavy industry. Please talk to us afterwards. And again, we thank the organizers, the esteemed panel, and honorable guests for being here as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.